this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
From high school to international wrestling, on the mat and beyond, this is the Potentially Dangerous podcast with the guys from IA Wrestle.
If you're a fighter, you like a fight. If you're an American, you like a fight. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye, you know you're going to get a fight.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and all your podcast-friendly apps. And follow us on social media platforms at IA Wrestle. Time to strap it up and get to the show. All right, welcome to Potentially Dangerous here. Beautiful day in Iowa. Back at it here on IA Wrestle's podcast weekly, and then we got Hager's Happy Hour on Friday as well. Had a great weekend. Did a bike ride. Got to see a few people, even though it's a little bit of COVID out there. We saw a little bit of wrestling as well. We had some people out at South Dakota at Legends of Gold. Got a few matches up right now from that. Big matchup if you're familiar with high school wrestling. Adam Allard teched Drake Ayala at the duel, so we got that matchup on our social media. But we got a bunch of interviews coming. Rob Hill with us, he was out there talking to a lot of the wrestlers too. So a lot of those interviews will be coming up today and tomorrow. Wi-Fi wasn't the best out in South Dakota, so that stuff will be coming here shortly. We just had to put a preview up of RMN events. National duels are going to be in Bettendorf this weekend, and Marshall Cothey will be at that event for us. So we'll have some hopefully some matchups. I think it's possibly on Flow, not sure, but so we won't have any matches for you, but we'll have some interviews and some coverage. Iowa is bringing Iowa Hammers is bringing a 9U team. Davenport Knights is bringing a team. Big Game Wrestling Club is bringing a team, and so Iowa Hammers has two teams, sorry, but we got those rosters up on the site. But Big Game Wrestling is bringing a nice little high school team, the Davenport Knights. We got to update that, but you can check out those rosters here as soon as the show is done. I'm going to update that post for you guys. So some wrestling going on, so that's kind of nice for our coverage. We are working on something brand new for IA Wrestle fans, Iowa fans, and just really the whole country. No one's ever really done this before, so really excited. So if you're a college coach watching this in Iowa, we're going to be doing all Iowa college rankings. So NAI, D2, D3, D1, 125 to 285. We are going to be ranking the top college wrestlers in Iowa. So likelihood the D1 guys are going to be probably at the top, right? But that's what's going to be kind of fun about this, is seeing how those D3 guys roll in, how those NAI guys roll in there, because we don't get to see a whole lot of D3 versus NAI and stuff like that. So that'll be kind of fun little banter, but we're hopefully going to be having some of that stuff out here soon. So be on the lookout for that. All right. So today we have got Wartburg in the house. We had Wartburg, we had the Oldham brothers in here a couple weeks ago. They announced they are going to be transferring to Wartburg, so we were super pumped to have them on. If you missed that interview, that's up on the site as well on podcast-friendly apps. But today we are joined by Mark Kist and Landon Williams. Welcome to the show. You guys been watching this, so you guys are here. Is it what you thought it was going to be, or is it worse or less or better?
It's awesome. I like all the stuff. I mean, obviously I'm a shoe guy, so I like the shoes. So
yeah,
I wanted to see them in person.
Those right there, baby.
Yeah.
Those are the pink jewels, baby. So
yeah.
I got a couple lingering around here, that you can check out, but some of my prize ones are in here. But so main reason why we were having you guys on, it kind of just happened. Coach Kist was reaching out to me. You guys got a golf outing coming up. Reached out to me, wanted to get some gear. Totally cool. So if you got a golf outing, love to be able to support your guys' golf. I mean, right now it's about the only way we can raise money for these clubs right now, or schools, high schools, whatever. So if you do have a golf outing, reach out to me. But you reached out to me and had an opening, so boom, you guys are here. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you making the drive down. But this weekend, golf outing, I mean, how long has this been going on for Wartburg?
It's an annual thing. The golf outing, we do it every summer. Normally a little bit earlier in the summer, though, just with the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Got pushed back. But yeah, it's been going on for as long as I can remember. I transferred to Wartburg in 2008, and it's been going on ever since then. So I'm not sure.
Is there any good golfing that goes on, or is it just kind of fun?
There's some pretty good good teams. One of our assistant coaches, national champ, Justin Hansen, he's a stud golfer. So he's usually the team that you got to try to catch. We go out golfing with him.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while, and he's legit. So
I've golfed with Justin before.
Okay.
His wife might be better.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
she on the team?
Oh yeah, she's on his team.
Yeah, that's their hidden gem.
Yeah.
She gets to tee off on the women's. So
Yeah.
who's on his team this year? Do you know?
I think it's Justin, Lauren, and then who is it? Ryan Hill and
Ryan,
his wife.
Ryan
Yep.
and Lena
Gotcha.
Hill.
Yep.
Gotcha. Well, fun time. So right now there's how many teams registered?
We've got 22 right now. Our goal is 25 this year, but
Okay.
things have been kind of, like I said, pushed back and kind of throwing it together here the last couple of weeks. So we got room for a few more spots, but 22 teams signed up as of today.
What's the best? Like, so if there's a team somebody that has got nothing going on Friday and they want to go out and golf, or they want to skip work or whatever, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you guys?
They can just shoot one of the coaches a text, message one of our social media pages, and we'll point you in the right direction, whether we get you with the people to sign up or put you with the team.
Okay. So there's 3 teams, three spots left.
We can have more than 25.
Okay.
But
The goal's 25.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there ways if maybe they can't come to the event? Is there ways they could help you guys out? Team like a sponsorship for a whole? What do you get? Stuff like that. What do those look like? For you guys?
So we do. Obviously, I reached out to you for the whole sponsorship. If you can't make it and still want to support us, you can do a whole sponsorship. Right now, we're asking for $150 to sponsor a hole. And what we would do is we'll put a sign out with the company name or whoever the individual, and then we plan on doing some stuff. We'll have stuff on the tables, advertising these businesses or the people, and then we'll put it on our social media as well, our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, and just get the word out. And that's what our sponsorships are.
Great. So look on the social media, Wartburg Wrestle, I believe, Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. So. Got a few people, I guess got a couple alumni that are chiming in already. Alex Williamson, Scott Runke. He's my neighbor, actually. My neighbor.
That's awesome.
I know. I mean, if there's booze involved, Scott's going to be there. So shout out, Scott. Appreciate you, brother. I've had a few cocktails with Scott. So he's a good dude. All right. So let's just chat a little bit. Okay. So 2 alumni from Wartburg. If you're not familiar with both these guys, both Iowans, high school wrestlers. So Davenport Assumption, Eagle Grove, and so you guys have been in this state since you both grew up here, right?
Yep.
Not a lot of wrestling going on. Kind of weird in the state, isn't it? I mean, to kind of not have Fargo for us. So a little bit different. But I'm just curious. Landon, with you being in, grinding on staff. So Mark, you're a volunteer assistant.
Yep.
You guys have had some commits, which is a little different at the D3 level. People that don't understand like how verbal commitments work at the D3 level. Maybe we can get into that a little bit. But what's been with your role now? What are some struggles, or what are some new things that you guys have learned about how you guys can recruit that maybe you weren't doing before?
Yeah, the biggest thing is we really can't have that much in-person recruiting. So, I mean, we've been doing a lot of Zooms. I mean, we Zoom, 2-3 times a day with, our current guys. And then, some of our, our recruits, like we'll Zoom with them, them and their parents. And it's kind of just been different because, I mean, we like to obviously be in person and, talk to them in person and meet the kids and show them the facilities at Wartburg. I mean, they're amazing. We like to bring them through our wrestling room and show them all that tradition on the All-American wall, and show them all those national champs and all those banners of the national championships and everything. So that's just been a little different.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is obviously getting on phone calls, FaceTime, Zooming, and just telling them what an awesome and special place Wartburg is, and we've had a lot of success on that. We're excited about, the incoming group to go with all the kids that we have currently on the team. So, I mean, we're really fired up about everyone that's going to be on the team this coming year.
I can't remember when it was, but I came in the room this past year, and I think it was sometime around national duels, and Coach Keller was, kind of a wake-up call for you guys, I guess. weren't able to wrestle the NCAA championships, so we don't know how really national duels to the championships obviously could happen, or what transpired in there, what you guys improved on a little bit. But so what have you seen your guys have been able to do? Do you know what they're able to do? Can you get into contact with them? Are they wrestling at the shed, or what's going down? For you guys?
The biggest thing is we're trying to just stay in contact with all of our guys, whether we're texting them, calling them, giving them. They got their lifting programs, they got their their footwork stuff that they can work on. We're kind of just trying to stay on them and make sure that they're getting as much workouts as they possibly can, whether if they can get on the mat with someone, whether it's in their backyard on a mat or in some club back where they're at, because we have kids from all over the the country, so we're kind of just staying on them about that, and then trying to we'll hit the ground running, but we want them to at least be in shape and be ready to go. And there's a lot of excitement, and I know the guys are working hard because they're motivated. They're excited about all the stuff that's going on at Wartburg, and they're excited about all the coaches that we have coming on board, and they're real excited about this class, and then getting better together and focusing on what they can control.
So you've had a little bit of a change of your role at Wartburg. So like what I guess what did change, I guess, from it being official to what you were doing before?
I think, I pretty much was doing a lot of the same stuff anyway. I came back this past year after a little stint in New Orleans. But I really kind of just, staying on top of the guys a little more, and I will obviously be more of on the administration side, making sure their classes and all that kind of stuff is available, and just recruiting more.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the biggest thing. I was doing some recruiting, but now, I'm one of the major guys out there recruiting, trying to, Zoom these guys and going and talk to them when I can.
Doing whatever you can do. So you went there right out of high school, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And Mark, then you transferred.
Yep.
So you guys have two different little stories of how you landed, I guess, at Wartburg, and now obviously you guys are pretty passionate about it. You came back. Mm-hmm. So let's just first kind of get Mark a little bit of how you got there, because your story is a little bit different, and we'll kind of circle back a little bit with Landon here. So so you went to Iowa State first, D1 program. What coming out of high school, I guess, were you thinking about Wartburg at the time? What other schools were you looking at?
Yeah, at the time, Wartburg was maybe in the back of my head a little bit, but it wasn't my first thought. Every successful high school kid wants to usually try D1, see what they can do.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thought process too. Let's go check it out and see what it's all about. And wanted to go to Iowa State. I did visit Wartburg when I was in high school, one of those general student visit days. A teammate of mine, Kelby Ryerson, him and I went to Wartburg for a day. And a lot of what got me thinking about Wartburg was Justin McClintock, Eagle Grove guy.
Mm-hmm.
He wrestled at Wartburg, and so I always knew about it. And then once I decided, for various reasons, that I didn't want to be at Iowa State anymore, Wartburg was right there, and there's someone who popped into my mind right away, and it's something I looked at, and as soon as I looked at it, I'm like, that's where I need to be for the rest of my career. So there's we've had lots of various coaches on here during this COVID time a little bit, and we've talked a little bit about, obviously people, when you're a wrestler, you want to go D1, right? Yeah. But that's not necessarily the path that people have to take, or they should take, really. And your situation is obviously you want to go to Iowa State. So what was it about for you, I guess, that made you not like it? Was it a tougher room for you, or you were a smaller high schooler? Yeah.
So I got to imagine you were a small 125 pounder for D1.
Sure, and I'll never use that as an excuse. Yeah. But it's real. I wrestled 112 as a senior in high school, so making that jump to wrestle Division I 125 guys who were, cutting from 140, 145,
150.
150.
Let's be real. Okay.
That was a major adjustment.
McClintock came from 160.
Yeah. That was real tough. wrestling 112, 119 in high school. I was the strongest guy. You know, I had good technique, but I could muscle a lot of guys if I needed to. And when I got to Iowa State, I realized that's a little bit different with Division I 125 pounders. So I was dealing with that. Obviously, that was hard, just the size thing. It was a challenge. And then, you know, just I had some neck injury stuff where I wasn't able to be on the mat for a while. And just kind of, you hear this with a lot of D1 guys, just kind of lost that love of the sport a little bit for various reasons. I can't pinpoint it. But I just, with everything together, I wasn't enjoying it. And I decided that I want to finish wrestling. I love it. But right here is probably not where I need to be to finish my college career. So
Who was in the room when you were there?
the other guys around my weight would have been Nick Fanthorpe,
Yeah.
33-pounder. After I got hurt my redshirt year, Tyler Clark took over, Bettendorf kid. Obviously Gallic, he was around, he's 41-pounder. So and then there was others sprinkled in there, but those were the main guys I worked out with a lot.
So you go to Wartburg, and you said the main reason was, I mean, Justin McClintock was from your hometown.
Yep.
I feel like I tell the story all the time about this dude, and I'm not ashamed of it because he was a bad dude. Justin McClintock easily was the worst person I've ever wrestled in my entire life. Just made me look so bad. He was so big, embarrassed me. And I'll respect that dude for forever because he was a freaking beast at 125 pounds. I don't know how the hell he ever got down there, but so you get to Wartburg, right?
Yep.
All right. So like, what was it right away? You're like, all right, this is like a really good decision. Like you're mentally, like, did your confidence go up right away, or were there, was he beating on you? Who else was in the room? Like, what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, sure. So right when I got there, I knew that's where I needed to be. I knew that when I went and when I was trying to decide where to go. I went and hung out. McClintock actually picked me up, so they were going to look at Wartburg. It kind of caught me off guard, but went up there and met a bunch of the guys on the team. They had it all set up for me. Hey, you're going to move in here with Aaron Warnemont, Justin Hansen, the Sandy brothers. So they had all that set out for me. If you're looking to stay in the same route study-wise, we got this program. And it's just, it just felt right. The people there, two things. I could tell wrestling is really, really important, and we expect to win national titles individually and as a team. And I wanted that. I still loved wrestling. I want to be somewhere where we're going to do well. The other thing that they emphasized that I really liked was, even though this is really important to us and that's what we focus on, there is a life outside of the wrestling room. Hang out with your buddies, do stuff in the summer, go to Okoboji, hang out for the summer. We had guys do that. It's just it wasn't controlling. Here's our expectation, and how you get there, you can do it individually, but it's not. You're not gonna hate being here. This isn't all we do, and I really felt that, and they really cared about you and wanted to know what you're doing outside of the wrestling room. But not to keep a thumb on you, just they're interested. The coaches cared about you. And I could just sense that environment and that atmosphere when I visited, and I decided right away that's where I needed to be. So yeah, I loved it from day one going there. Never looked back, never second-guessed it. As far as the confidence thing he asked, that took a little bit of time. Coming from a D1 room where, in high school I wasn't pushed too much in the wrestling room by other guys. There was ways my coach and I would do things to get workouts and get better. But coming from Iowa State, that's a different story. I had to wrestle my butt off to survive every day, and you'll hear that from any kid that goes to D1. It's just how it is. And so going to Wartburg, then there was a rebuilding phase. I had to step back a little bit, and relook at how I viewed the sport, what my goals were, how I approached it. And I talked to Keller and Miller and Ortner about that when I got there, and said, this is our plan. And it started off a little rough. We went to be my sophomore year, my first tournament at Wartburg, Concordia Open, I think, something like that. I got 6th place, and I'm like, what the hell? There's some things that need to be fixed. And, and we did. We addressed that stuff technically, mentally, and we did what we had to do. And, I ended up getting 3rd in the nation that year. So it took a little bit of time, but we got there. So
the Oldham Oldham is coming,
Yep.
kind of the same situation,
Yeah.
right? Have you had a chance to talk with him
I
at
haven't
all?
yet.
Okay.
I haven't yet. No plan to, but
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a kind of the exact
Yeah.
same situation.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure they're complete. I mean, he went clear to Ohio State,
yeah.
dealing with some injuries too.
Mhm.
But that'll be obviously good to get your hands on him and up here. I
Yep.
think that'll be a good fit for him.
Yep.
And there's lots of kids out there too that go D1 that really
Mhm.
should be in a D2, D3 NAI role.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I always love hearing those kind of stories of
Yep.
kids like going a different direction
Yeah.
and find their place. 'Cause
And I can never fault a kid for trying it and wanting to do it, but at some point you can say, hey, it's maybe time to switch course. And
Mhm.
and a misperception about going from D1 to D3 that I experienced is, at least with Wartburg, what I experienced is the room wasn't any different. It wasn't any. We didn't take days off. We didn't not wrestle hard. We wrestled good competition, and so the level of wrestling, at least at Wartburg, with my experience, wasn't that much different. It's not like you're completely switching and you don't have to work hard anymore.
Mhm.
We still expect the same thing out of you, whether you're coming from Iowa State, Ohio State. We're gonna work hard and it's gonna be tough, but maybe we just approach mental side a little bit different.
Yeah.
That I think works really well for those D1 transfers.
So Landon, you just went there right out of the gate.
Yep.
What was at the beginning, during your high school career, was that really your first choice? Recruiting just has changed a whole lot.
Mhm.
So what were some of the schools that you were looking at? Why did you end up at Wartburg?
I was looking at various D1s to start, and then by the end, I kind of had it locked down to 3 schools, and it was between Iowa State, Co, and Wartburg, and I was kind of battling back and forth of where I wanted to go, and I thought I was leaning one way. I was real late. Like I didn't end up committing to Wartburg till like June, the summer of my senior year, and kind of didn't know. And then just out of the blue, I was just like, I had a gut feeling, and I just called Keller out of the blue and was like, I'm coming to Wartburg. Right. And I hadn't really been, I've been through like the recruiting process. They came down and visited me at school and everything, but I hadn't really like went through the process like with Wartburg that much. And then I called him and, within, he was like, let's go. And then we got that obviously done. And it was June. Like it was like probably middle June. And, the rest was history. I got up there and, it was good. I mean, because we started working right away, and my freshman year, it was pretty successful. I was in and out of the lineup. I was, right out of the gate, kind of got some big time varsity experience with some dual meets, wrestled at the national duels, and the cool thing was Kist was actually a senior my freshman year. And that's what I really liked about Wartburg was like those senior guys kind of like took us freshmen, our younger class, under their wings, right, and just kind of showed us the ropes, on the wrestling mat, on the school side, and this on the on the lifestyle side. So there was like a lot of bonding moments that we did with that. Like I still remember we were watching tournaments at Joe's, Kist and Weber and House and all those guys. We were all together, us freshmen, them seniors, so it was a really good bond that we still have today that I kind of liked. But yeah, I mean, started off at Wartburg and, finished, had a pretty good career. I mean, we were lucky to win all 4 years that I was there. So we won that first year. I didn't end up in the lineup at the end my freshman year, but we won that national title. So I was a part of that, which was awesome. And it just motivated me because I just barely missed the lineup. But then I knew that I was in the right place. I knew I was within the right system that was going to make me be successful. And we graduated, I think, 7 seniors out of my freshman when I was a freshman, 7 seniors. So we had to jump in right away. And I ended up winning it my sophomore year because I was prepared. Like I stayed on the right track, right? Yeah, I wasn't the guy as a freshman, but I trained like I was the guy. I trained, during that postseason time, I was training to get better because that's the biggest time. That's the biggest time when those guys are in the varsity lineup is making those jumps so they can peak for that national tournament. So I just put myself in that situation, right? I'm going to put myself in there, and I'm going to train and get better, through the summer, and I'm ready to go. When it's my time, I jumped right in the lineup, and, I won a national title as a sophomore.
So what was between your freshman year and sophomore year, was there anything that you did to kind of get you over that hump, or
I think just mentally,
like you're like coaching, since you're in a coaching role right now, you can look back at that situation, which for some people, you don't make the lineup at the end of the year where you got some varsity experience. Some people can just go, all right, screw this. So what was it for you? What did you do that you can use as a learning experience for your athletes now?
Well, I just, like, when I wasn't the guy, but I was training like I was the guy. And then throughout the end of the season and during the off season, I was lifting. I was committed to the lifting. I was wrestling when I did in the off season, the summer. I moved home. That was the 1 year that I moved home. My freshman year summer, I was training with like Sonny Alvarez. He was a runner up at Wartburg. He's a firefighter in the Quad Cities. So we were training. He was training for the police and fire games. So it just worked out. And then another All-American, Byron Grothis, older brother of Brody Grothis. I was training. He's a cop in the Quad Cities, and I was training with him during that summer, and kind of just stayed motivated and, use that time, even though you're not the guy right away. Like, I know when I'm ready to step in and it's my time, I know I'm going to be ready to compete for a national title, and that's what happened. And that's just the mindset is, just because you're not the guy right away, keep working, because you never know. You never know when it's going to be your time. You never know when you're going to have to step in. You never know when you're going to be the guy, and be prepared and be ready to win when it's your time.
So, so you win a national title your sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Come back, you get fourth.
Yeah.
Right? Fourth. Looking back on that, obviously, not what you wanted, right?
Yep.
Was it just so I always like try to figure out like what did you learn from that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what our sport's all about, right?
Yeah.
So, not finding an excuse, but like what were some things that, maybe you did wrong, or just some things went wrong for, you messed up, or I guess looking back at it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I just think winning as a sophomore, like it was awesome, right? And then the focus level kind of, the things that you did to get there, you didn't think that you had to do as much because you won as a sophomore, and you beat, a very talented kid that, that on paper you weren't supposed to beat. So, I kind of maybe just took a step back in my training and thought that my mental side was going to take me through, right? And then it kind of just and I remember, like, looking back at it, like, it's crazy, but I remember, I don't know if it wasn't Coach Ortner that told me, but it was actually his wife told me, like, hey, you need to get back focused, which probably Ortner was the one that told her. Yeah. And she just said it, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I got plenty of time, And then, so I just really probably didn't get back to as focused. And then once season started, I was wrestling, I was undefeated going into the national tournament, 1 seed. So like when I was in season, I was focused, right? So maybe that summertime when I was training like I was going into my sophomore year, I wasn't doing as much as that, and then that was also the year that Nazar Kolcheski won it as a sophomore at 57. I won it at 65, and he moved up to 65 for that 1 year. So there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of, talk about that matchup, right? Yeah. Like, because he was a freak on his feet, right? And I was a mat wrestler, right? And he didn't wrestle a whole lot on the mat because he was used to the freestyle stuff. So it was like talks of that match all year. We never met up. We were supposed to meet up at the national tournaments. They were doing articles. They were doing talks about it prior than it happening. And then I got upset in the semifinals. Went up big and kind of just shut it off, and got beat, got turned a couple times. But I still said, like, that was a good learning experience because it motivated me. And as soon as I said I was never going to watch another national championships in the stands, and then that whole summer it was locked in, ready to go, training, doing all the right things, training, wrestling, right? And then it elevated the whole team. So
a lot of pressure. Did you feel the pressure to win the next year?
As a junior?
As a senior at that point.
I don't think it was really pressure. Like, I think there was more pressure as on the junior year winning, because just you win it as a sophomore. There was a lot of hype around it. I just think,
going on.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So I think just the senior, it was just I was motivated, right? I was hungry. I was setting little goals throughout the season, checking off things that I wanted to accomplish. Bonus point, dominant in the country, like that kind of stuff. Pens, tech falls. So it was just motivated. So I learned from it. It was a good experience.
So I'm also curious too with Wartburg. I went Simpson, and they're both small schools, right? It kind of feels like a high school, Iowa high school, but on a bigger stage, I guess, bigger campus. But I feel like you kind of know everybody on campus. It's still kind of so with being a part of championship teams across other athletics too at Wartburg too, but wrestling with all the history there, like, did you guys, was there pressure outside of wrestling to be like, oh, those guys, they're part of Wartburg, like they're expected to win? Did you guys ever feel that from like fans or, other student athletes? Compared to like high school too, because you guys were both part of pretty high level high school programs too. Can you guys compare them at all? Mark being from Eagle Grove.
Yeah. It was definitely a different experience for me than it was in high school. Eagle Grove has a lot of tradition, a lot of really good teams in the past, and they had some pretty solid teams in the early 2000s. But when I was at Eagle Grove, it wasn't a powerhouse by any means at the time. We had 3 or 4 of us who would
individuals, yeah,
right, that would always place really high at the state tournament. We had 3 in the finals one year and got third. We had qualified 3 guys for the state tournament and took home a team trophy. So we're all in the finals. So that was kind of my high school experience. There wasn't 10 or 12 or 15 guys kind of on that same page. It was a small group of us. But then at Wartburg, it was completely different. There was 20 or 30 guys with the same mindset. And the pressure stuff, we didn't really feel that. It's talked about. I know the media talks about it a lot. The boosters talk about it a lot. And yeah, there is just an expectation to win, and because that's how it's been for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But our program does a really good job of focusing on the things we can control. What's in the newspaper, that doesn't affect what we're doing in practice today. What this guy says you're supposed to do, how does he know? He doesn't see what you're doing in the room every day. We kind of have the blinders on a little bit. This is our goal, and here's how we get here. And there's going to be people in situations, people who are your fans, people who aren't your fans, who are going to say things and do things, but that stuff doesn't matter. That doesn't affect how we go about things. And we preach. We control what we can control, and we work as hard as we can every day. And you've seen the result of it the last 20 years. That's been our philosophy. And really, you have guys on every team who pay attention to the stuff,
mm-hmm.
the stats and the teams and who's winning national titles and stuff. But as a whole, it's pretty narrow focus. So not a lot of that gets into our wrestling room, because it starts at the top. Keller and Landon do a great job. They don't highlight that stuff. They don't put a spotlight on what the fans are saying or the expectations of the media. We take what we have and we're going to do this with it, and we just go forward.
So I asked a few people that are around the program, know D3 wrestling a little bit too, and now it's the American Rivers Conference.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the name, but so Wartburg has been boom. That's it. That's it. now, Luther kind of been in there a little bit, and now Loris is coming up. They come into your guys' gym and break a long streak, right? Mm-hmm. So as a coach in that room every day, with the history, right? I mean, that's just part of probably what your guys' program is, but what was the message from Coach Keller after that duel? And your message, I guess, to some of these guys to move forward and go in the right direction instead of going like to a negative direction.
Yeah, it was kind of just like, we gotta focus on us. We can't worry about what other programs are doing. We worry about like what we have to do, each and every one of our individuals, and what our coaches. I mean, we don't really get caught up in what other people are doing. I mean, so and at that time it was, hey, that happened, but we have a lot. We still have a season, right? We still have a season that we have to focus on. We have the national tournament, right? We won that national dual title. We want to also win that national NCAA title, and then the biggest thing is, kind of just focusing on us, focusing on what we can control. And, I mean, congrats to those guys. They got the championship, the conference championship this year. But, what I just keep going back to is what happened the last time Wartburg lost a conference duel, right? They went on a 27 year, 220 year streak. So I'm just thinking for the future now, right?
Yeah.
That happened, right? So let's move on and build the future and focus on what we can control, focus on our guys that are coming in, and focusing on getting our guys better and helping them reach their goals, and the team stuff's going to take care of itself.
Like, and just in sports in general, like, talk about dynasties, right? I mean, like, Iowa has a fan base. That's a dynasty of what Gable built, what Brains has got now. And, whenever they get beat by somebody they're not supposed to, fans are like, oh, what the hell's going on, right? And same with Wartburg happens, right? That's why I'm just curious, like, if fans are like, something's wrong, so I'm just kind of curious of how that, if there's something wrong, or just, that's how wrestling is, right? I mean, you're expected. It seems like Grandview, like, if they get knocked off, like, people are gonna be like, well, what the heck, but someone had to start it. Teams have to start somewhere, right? So that's what's so great about our sport. But so I guess I'm just curious if there's been, you get so used to winning as a program, and then it doesn't happen. Like, yes, you don't want to worry about that team, but like, do you feel that, like, as a former athlete and a coach now, like, we're never going to feel like that again? I got to imagine there's some of that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, from that point, I think there's a lot of excitement around the program. We have a bunch of good coaches that are bought in, and then obviously our kids have been working their butts off. And we have a bunch of really, really talented kids joining the program coming up in, August, and I'm excited for those guys. I think the biggest thing is the future is very, very bright with Wartburg. I think it's in a really good place right now, and I think it's in, a place that I'm excited for. I know, everyone's very excited for what's to come, and we just have to do what makes us, what Coach Keller and myself and all the other staff, what makes us, successful. And that's just worry about our guys and get them ready and let them know that we're going to do everything in our power to, make them be as successful as they want to be and reach their goals.
So that consistency is something that Wartburg has just been able to do. So as soon as they graduate, boom, someone moves in. Like, who the hell is this guy? You know. So, who are some of the names that maybe we're not familiar with from last year that you see maybe kind of maybe challenging for a spot, or maybe just somebody moved out and they're coming in, or you know, how's the team look? I know it's kind of we don't know with haven't been able to see a lot of the guys what they're doing this off season, but are there any names out there that we don't know?
It's kind of hard because I don't really know, like, with us not being able to work out or be around. I mean, normally during that, after nationals, you're strength training a lot. I mean, they're doing it, but they're doing it more on their own. So you're really not seeing what these guys are weighing right now. So a lineup it'd be hard to predict what lineup would even be put out there. I know we have some really good returners and we have some really good hungry kids that are, that did just that, train through the postseason. And so I think
here's one for you then. So how about a guy or multiple guys that one thing that I have found is you don't have to be like the guy in high school to have a successful college career. It's just a mindset, right? Like, you can jump levels. Maybe you were a physical wrestler in high school, that didn't work, but in college it does. So, like, is there anybody on the team that you just saw, like, throughout the season just kind of jump levels, not varsity level, but anybody that surprised you, I guess, at all? It would be either one of you guys.
You got it. Go ahead. I kind of like, so a guy that we kind of go back to is, his name's Joe Pence, Dubuque Homestead guy. That guy just the way he approaches the sport, the way he approaches, coming in each and every day. And I mean, he just fights, right? He goes as hard as he possibly can, each and every day, right? He's always looking to grab a coach and get the extra workouts in. He's always in the room, whether he's running, elliptical, and biking, trying to get extra stuff in, just to try to get better. And I mean, he was a state champ, but I think he's potentially could have a better college career than he did high school career, because he had the foundation, he had those intangibles, through his high school program, that we can just build off of. And you could see it every single day from the beginning of the year. He was jumping levels each and every day, right? Each and every day, each and every week, every month, he was getting better. He was getting better and better. And like myself, when I was a freshman, he trained like he was the guy. He trained like he wanted to win a national title all the way through that postseason, even though he wasn't the guy, and what he helped those guys around that weight class, Chris Rump, Brady Kiner, Fritz, those guys get better just by showing up and competing every day with those guys, even though he wasn't the varsity guy. That year, he jumped in and out of the lineup. He was in dual meets. He had some big wins against Co. He had some big wins, for us in the lineup, dual meet wise. Wrestled for national duels, but didn't be the guy at the end. But he was setting himself up to be very successful career wise.
25 or
33? 33.
Yeah, 33. So it's funny you kind of mention him because he was a late bloomer, I guess is how you could kind of classify him on the high school side of things, as far as accolades go. Perfect guy for like a D3 program, I think. That probably didn't get a whole lot of looks from D1, D2. I mean, I guess I'm not sure, but when I was in that room, dude, and I don't know him personally, but he is that kind of guy that is okay with getting his butt kicked. And it's just funny that you say that because I can't remember who he was going with. God, who the hell was he wrestling? Doesn't matter. Anyways, but there was times where he'd get his butt kicked in that one practice that I was just at. Mm-hmm. But he just kept on like, get up and then you're right back at it. And that's hard. That's hard for a lot of kids that have had success in the past that go into a program in the collegiate and they're like getting their butt kicked and they're getting cauliflower ear for the first time. not everybody has that mental side of things. So
No, he definitely elevates the workouts and he elevates the room.
he's got a sweet name too.
Oh yeah, Joe Pence.
sweet name. So is there anybody for you? I mean, I know you were working with those guys. How's Kiner's health wise? Because he had a brace on when he had a neck brace in his hand. I mean, he's been some injuries.
Yeah.
How's he feeling?
Good. Took a little time. Got done what he needed to get done, and so he's back to training now, getting better. So I think he'll be all right.
Okay.
Yep, he's good to go. But it's kind of funny. He said Joe Pins. That's who popped into my mind too, and maybe because I work with a lot of those smaller guys. But I could see that because Joe was, he was our backup 33 because our starter was the number 1 ranked in the country. Now Joe Pins is a good wrestler. He would be in the lineup most places, and I'm really excited to see what he can do because he does. He works hard and he doesn't get beat up very often. But we have such a good room that there are guys, depending on who it is. But yeah, the guy goes and goes and goes, and if you get a room full of people like that, good things will happen. And his work ethic, his attitude, I think that rubs off on a lot of guys too, especially the kids in his class. They're seeing what he's doing and the opportunities he's getting because of it. That's going to elevate everybody. So that's exactly who I would have said.
So you're getting in the room once or twice a week ish?
Yep, I once or twice a week just as I can. So.
And also Waverly, or are you?
Nope.
No, just
Wartburg.
Just Wartburg.
Yep.
Okay. And what are you doing for full time? I don't think we got to this yet.
No, I work at People's Insurance.
Okay.
So I'm a insurance agent for trucking companies.
Okay.
So
People's Insurance. So is that who owns it?
The Whitinger brothers.
Whitingers. Okay. Yeah.
Josh
Great.
Jarvis and Jason. Yep. So big wrestling people. They support us a lot, and they're great to work for because they wrestling's important to them too, and so they kind of understand the schedule and never have a problem with practice conflicts or anything. As long as you're doing what you need to do individually, they're great people to have on your side, and they allow me to do the wrestling stuff too. So works out good.
They supported our War West Gym, our Night of Conflict. So yeah, definitely good wrestling people.
Yeah.
So on the so with you being in there once a week or so, obviously you're getting your hands on these guys, but you personally, right? Let's just talk a little bit about kind of as wrestlers, and this is a good transition a little bit when you said like, hey, I went to Iowa State to Wartburg, and there's life outside of wrestling.
Yep.
So like, what motivates you now in the insurance world? Like, how do you get your like, all right, dude, I got my goal or whatever like that. What do you like about the insurance side of the business?
Yep. Well, I'm in good position because doing it's a sales job, but it's also you kind of get out of it what you put into it. It's a lot like wrestling. If I'm willing to put in the work in the wrestling room, results are going to show on the mat, and that's the same thing with my job now. You could sit back and take it easy, and but you'll see that, or you can work your butt off, and there's really no limit to what you can do in the insurance world. So that's what I like about it, that it's not your pace, but you dictate what your results are going to be, and I like that type of a situation.
Are there other wrestlers within the company? Yeah,
there's a couple. CT Allard Coelho, he wrestled at Wartburg and coaches at Wartburg with us now. He works there. Todd Becker wrestled. He works at People's. And we've had a few come in and out. John Helgerson used to work there. Cole Welter worked there. Brett Yankovic, John Helgerson, Carrington Banks. Who else? We've had quite a few that, for right out of school, if they want to stick around and help coach. People's has always been willing to say, if you're around and you don't have anything going on, you're more than welcome to come work here and see how things go. So it's been a good situation for Wartburg.
Wrestlers and sales always is a good mixture usually.
Yeah.
from my experience. And so hiring wrestlers, good combo there. So all right, so I want to circle all the way, just get back a little bit to high school a little bit too with and Landon. I don't know your era very well of like who was the guys and who, but Kist obviously was in my bracket. I don't know if I would have rather wrestled you or Mackie. Was he at Iowa State when you were there too, or no?
No. I think if I'm right, he only did a year there.
Yeah, he wasn't there very long.
And I was a year behind him. So I was a senior when he was at Iowa State, and then when I got there, he wasn't there.
Had you wrestled him prior to the semis your freshman year?
We wrestled at the tournament in Perry earlier in the year. He beat me there too.
He beat you there? What was the score?
Couldn't tell you. But he got me twice that year.
Yeah, well, he got me too. Yeah. I remember it. Well, I remember it quite a bit because people freaking remind me of it all the time. But I remember looking back at that year, I guess, of thinking like, damn, this kid, you personally, like, I'm not sure who I want to even wrestle. I mean, I had majored Mackie the year before at state, so I was kind of wanting to wrestle him, and I freaking overlooked him. So, but like, okay, so when we were in school, like looking back, who was there a rival that you had that you look back and you wish you could maybe wrestle again?
You know, in high school, not really.
Okay.
There was two guys who beat me twice. That'd be Patrick Makey, my freshman year, and then Cody McClintock from Fort Dodge.
Yeah.
He beat me at the Eagle Grove tournament. I won more state titles than I did my hometown tournament. He beat me twice in the finals of the Eagle Grove Invitational. I think they were close matches. But those two guys both beat me twice, and I never got another crack at either one of them. So, but other than that, I mean, I didn't really have any rivals. I didn't go back and forth with anybody like that. So,
now, were you part of the transition that went from the barn to Well?
Yeah. So my senior year was the first year at Wells Fargo. So I wrestled 3 in the barn, Wells Fargo, my senior year.
I never even asked this question because I've never met someone or talked to somebody that has done both. Mm-hmm. So what was the transition like for you as a wrestler?
You know, I liked the finals better at Wells Fargo just because it felt a little bit more open and bright and cleaner, you could say. I don't think it was, but it was a really cool finals setup. The rounds before that, I liked the barn better. I just like that chaos, the closeness, the you're making your way to your mat 3 or 4 minutes early because you got to go around people and get through the crowd. And I really missed that my senior year. You know, it felt more like, it just felt slower in Wells Fargo because there's the wrestlers in the waiting area, but there wasn't a whole bunch else going around. There wasn't that crowd by the mats. And so it was just kind of felt like every other tournament where the barn, it was just chaos, and that was fun. So,
yeah, freaking crazy.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah,
it was crazy. Awesome. So yeah, I feel like you're like a young buck. I feel like because you graduated in 12.
10 from high school, yeah.
10. No, you won your national title in 2012.
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. 2010. I graduated in 2003. So I feel like I'm just old over here. I'm talking about the barn, man. So I just feel like I'm old. So you were telling me you were talking an interesting story for me that I just haven't gone down that road of Pete Bush. So Pete Bush just retired
maybe 2 years ago,
2 or 3 years ago, right? Okay, so you were saying you were part of his first or second year? Yeah,
so I started off at North Scott. I grew up in North Scott as a freshman and was part of a pretty good North Scott team. I was a qualifier at 103, and North Scott, we won the MAC conference that year. And that was us, Bettendorf, Pleasant Valley, Assumption. It's pretty good conference. And then we end up moving to Davenport, and I ended up going to Assumption as a sophomore. So Pete's first year was my freshman year when I was at North Scott, and then he was like 1-14 in dual meets. And then so my sophomore year, we end up getting third, right? And I think I placed 6th individually. But I mean, it was pretty unique because from going 1-14 to third in the state, and then we took second, because those are the years that it was Assumption, Ballard, and Denver, right? We were battling. It was, so I didn't really have any like individual rivalries when you were talking to Kist, but like I just remember those battles between Denver, and Ballard when they were really, really good, and Bettendorf, we had a huge dual meet with Bettendorf every year, so those are some pretty good years. And I ended up winning state title my senior year. So I'm actually Coach Bush's first state champ. And then so we never won a team title when I was at Assumption. We took second twice. And then I think they went on to win 4 dual titles in a row after that. So we kind of like laid the foundation. It was pretty unique because he was new to coaching, so I was kind of helping lay the foundation for him, and he's taught me a lot. I mean, my top wrestling, I owe a lot of it to him. And we spent endless hours of just working on that, and I mean, he really kind of helped me really find that love for the sport. So it was a unique situation. We had plenty of battles, So,
what's he doing these days?
I think so. I think he owns his own company, McCarthy Bush.
Okay.
They're in a bunch of different stuff in the Quad City. It's a pretty big company in the Quad City area. I don't exactly know what his role is in it, but I mean, I know it's his family's company, so it's a pretty successful company in the Quad Cities.
So looking back at both your guys' careers now, I guess you could call it the good old days, right? I mean, now, so like for you, Landon, looking back, like what's the favorite moment for you in wrestling that like you're laying in bed at night? I mean, we all think about the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. What's that moment for you?
I would just say the relationships that I have from wrestling at Wartburg. I mean, I was in all my guys' weddings, and the relationships that I have with our coaches that coached me at Wartburg, and our teammates. We won 4 national titles. When I was there, but it's just the bond like that those championships helped. Cole Welter from Don Bosco. We're still really good friends to this day. Brett Yankovic. Ryan Fank, they're all in the coaching world on the high school side now. But I mean, we, Jake Agnitz at Southeast Polk. I mean, we have a bunch of just really good relationships that we built at Wartburg, not just in the wrestling room, just, the time at Wartburg and in general. Kist kind of touched on it, it's not just wrestling, right? They care about, we care about everything, all aspects, right? You have to have the total package, right? Your work, your school, and your wrestling, right? You got to win in all. You got to win in all areas, or it's not really winning, So yeah, we want to win national titles, but we also want to graduate. We also want to have successful guys in the workforce where they can say, "That's a Wartburg wrestler," right? And I mean, that's what I felt. Biggest memories that I've made.
Yeah. What out of you? Because that was hey, take it here's a ball, Landon, and just hit it out of the park. Okay, so what about you, Kist?
There's not much you can build on that. That was pretty spot on, but I just echo that. That's sport of wrestling did the same thing for me, and especially at Wartburg. Like he said, that's my social group. Mm-hmm. That's who I hang out with. That's who I talk to on a day-to-day basis, is those guys that I was with in those 3 years at Wartburg. Just because the amount of work we put in, the time and obviously the effort and all that, everybody knows. But not very many people understand how hard it is to win a national title as a team. It is really, really hard. Get everything everybody on the same page at the same time. When you're able to do that, there's a bond with those guys that you did it with that you just can't explain. And I feel that for every one of those guys. Every time I see them out and about or on social media or whatever, my mind goes back to that. And, it's just something intangible. We did something together that's really hard to do. and not very many people get to do it. And so that's something that I really took from the sport, is that you're willing to put in the time. Cool things will happen, and yeah, I've got a bunch of great relationships because of that, friendships, and so yeah.
So I mean, with you guys just hearing you guys talk about that, I mean, because some people right away be like, oh, my sophomore national title, right? So I mean, everybody's gonna have different kind of things that they remember when they think about that. So it's just interesting hearing you guys talk about that.
Yep.
And it speaks volume to your guys' program. And so you mentioned a name. You were with Aaron Warnemont.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
When you went there, so how long
Yep.
were you with him?
He was a senior my first year there, my sophomore year. So we were on the team for 1 year together. He graduated in 2009, but he stuck around. He was he helped coach at Wartburg for we shot out 2.
Yeah, 1 year, right?
He was between the both, I think, for a year or 2.
Yep.
So he was around there my junior year, and then he got into optometry school at Indiana. So he took off. So I was with him for 2 full years.
So you get, so the program and really the last 10 years have lost significant members of it with Kenny and Aaron. And do you guys feel like those losses, they bring your team, the alumni, to take a positive away from it? What has it done, I guess, for you guys personally, and as just a team in general, and the whole, because I feel like an outsider's perspective, yes, it's shitty, but
and
it's brought your guys' program together.
And a lot of people don't know this too. We had another, actually 2 others. Coach Smith, Chris Smith's son, Jace, passed away. He was 11 or 12.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
So we dealt with that.
Yeah, you guys had the duel for that, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Mito. Wear the green singlets. That's for Coach Smith's son. And then just before regionals, we lost another teammate of ours, Wade Welcher, West Delaware kid.
Okay.
So since Aaron, we've dealt with some stuff like that it's not any fun. But if there is anything, it kind of all brought us back together and said, hey, this stuff goes quick. We don't know. We just never know. So let's, whatever you're doing, if you're on the team now, put in your time and do what you can. If you're out working, be with your family. Tell the people that you're around that they're important to you, because it's happened 4 times in the last 10 years or so. It's like, things happen quick, and take advantage of every opportunity you got, and make sure you build those relationships and keep them. So,
well, I just wanted to make sure, that I wasn't thinking about that prior to the show, but hearing the name Aaron Warnemont, man, that
and he has been, he was a huge role model. He was the ideal Wartburg guy. That's who we want people to be like, and no one will ever know why it was him, but he was the one who passed away, and we talk about him every day in Wartburg's room. This is what you want to be like. Does well in school, does good with his relationships. He's going to be an eye doctor, so he's got things straight path. And the guy won, and he had a good time doing it. So that we remember those guys, and we talk about them, and we say, be like these guys.
Yeah.
So
good role models too.
Oh, yeah.
Good role models. All right, so we'll end the show, with that, and kind of remember those guys. And I think it's always a good thing to put things in perspective, right? We talk about the loss and on the mat, but there's way worse things that are happening out there. Hopefully, everybody deals with that stuff differently, and some people use it for motivation. But so remember those guys. But I thank you guys for coming in. Yeah. Again, the golf outings this Friday. Reach out to either one of these guys to get in touch with it. There's 3 teams left, but you can have some more. So come out and golf. What the golf course is it?
It's at the public course in Waverly.
Okay.
So
all right. there's a couple comments that came in here. Well, maybe we shouldn't talk. We'll talk about these off air, but some of them mentioned Fireball, so we won't mention those. But yeah, so all right, what else we got in here? All right, we'll leave those for off air. But all right, so that's been Landon Williams, Mark Kist. Thank you guys for both coming in on short notice, driving clear from Waverly. I appreciate it. I don't need any insurance, otherwise I'd get some from you. But
now I'm here.
Yeah, so if you missed any part of the show, I know it's a live show, but we will have this up on our Rockfin channel for free. Be on Facebook, obviously. If you guys are watching this live, you're probably on Facebook. You can tune into that podcast version as well. Will be on your podcast audio versions, but we always have the video versions of that. Again, if you missed the beginning of the show, we will be at Bettendorf this weekend for the RMN events national duels. So be on the lookout for that. This past weekend, we were at Legends of Gold. So we got a bunch of interviews from Team Steamboat, some Iowa Hammers, and Legends of, I'm not sure if we got Adam Mallard or not, but got some matches up from that. So be on the lookout for that on our Rockfin channel, and hopefully more wrestling coverage as things kind of, I mean, even though things I think are like kind of going up with COVID, we're still seeing some wrestling events trickle in. But sanctioned PA shirts or sanctioned I Wrestle shirts, we're still having those till July 31st. There was a comment in here of how you can get those, Kim. If you are still watching, the best way to get those, I just put a link out on our Twitter handle at iWrestle and on Facebook. We are trying to get to 100 of those shirts sold, and we've raised almost $2,000 for that. And I've had some questions of what are we going to be doing with that money. And so what the goal of that will be is we're going to put something out on our website that where clubs and teams can reach out to us and say, hey, this is why we could use some of these funds. We're not going to give all the money to one team. We're going to try to sprinkle it out to maybe there is a team in Perry, Iowa or Ogden, Iowa that doesn't have girls wrestling right now at the high school level because they can't afford women's singlets, or maybe they need a coach for, $500 coach or $1,000 coach, whatever it may be. Those are the type of things that we're wanting to use this money for. So we will have, kind of a questionnaire. So if you have seen the shirts for sale, all the proceeds are going for it. It's not going in anybody's pocket. We're going to try to be honest as possible, let people know how much we did raise. So we're super pumped about it. Trying to get women's wrestling sanctioned in Iowa, it's a tough it's a tough task. It's going to be a long grind. It won't be as easy as some of these other states have seen. I think we're at least 1, 2, maybe 3 years out from actually it happening, unfortunately, in our state. But your support can help at a grassroots level, and we can get the numbers. Even though it's not sanctioned, we can get these girls wrestling. And then with girls wrestling programs coming to the collegiate level, maybe Wartburg will have a program at some point. Boom, they have a place to go and continue their education and continue wrestling in wrestling, because women's wrestling does support men's wrestling, believe it or not. You can talk to Dan Gable about that and what it did for the sport of wrestling. So with that said, again, thanks for Wartburg for coming on. Appreciate the gear that these guys always give. And if you can make it to Waverly on Friday, check out the golf outing. So until next time, Tony Hager, everyone I wrestle, thanks for watching.